Last night at this hour, we refused to show you the propaganda video recorded by the Trump White House during the president's visits to hospitals in Dayton, Ohio, and El Paso, Texas. The news media was not allowed to see what Donald Trump was actually doing and saying in those hospitals. The news media's cameras were not allowed. And video released today shows why. No one should have shown the Trump propaganda video yesterday, which was turned into a Trump campaign commercial released on Twitter yesterday. We now have a slightly better and only slightly better idea of what happened inside those hospitals because private video recorded by people in those rooms is beginning to emerge. Perhaps more will emerge, but as of now, it is exactly the kind of obscenity that you had every right to expect it to be when Donald Trump spoke in those hospitals. We see Donald Trump in El Paso speaking to some of the heroes in that hospital, doctors, nurses, and others who spent days and continue to spend days trying to save lives. And he said not one word to them about what he would try to do to prevent another massacre from sending dozens and dozens of victims to their hospital. Instead, he lied to them about their own community. He insulted their intelligence and their dignity by lying to their faces about something they both know is they know is both a lie and they very much do not care about. The lie was about the size of the crowd. Yes, the size of the crowd that Donald Trump attracted when he held a hate-fueled campaign rally in El Paso 6 months ago. Here is that lie.
That was some crowd.
Thank you for
and we had twice the number outside. And then you had this crazy Beto. Beto had like 400 people in a parking lot. They said his crowd was wonderful.
The laughing First Lady and the laughing President, laughing about the Trump lies. What we said back then was that the El Paso Police Department estimated that Beto O'Rourke's crowd was between 10,000 and 15,000 people, and everyone in that room yesterday knows that. They know that it was not 400 people. But most importantly, no one in that room except Donald Trump and the third Mrs. Trump care about that crowd now. No one cares about that this week. No one cared about that in that hospital yesterday except Donald Trump. And that is because Donald Trump's untreatable, lifelong perversion is that he appears to care about no human being other than himself, and he makes that manifest in every public moment that requires a demonstration that he is capable of caring about other people, capable of empathy. The White House propaganda video yesterday was designed to pretend that Donald Trump cares about other people. A report from CNN.com says that, according to an El Paso hospital official, there was a general assessment that there was an absence of empathy on Trump's part during his visit to the hospital. The president's absence of empathy was also on full, vivid display yesterday in his public torture of children. Every definition, legal and otherwise, of torture includes mental torture, non-physical torture. And that is what President Trump engaged in Mississippi yesterday on a grand scale while he was pretending to care about people being treated for gunshot wounds at a hospital in El Paso where none of the patients still being treated at that hospital agreed to meet with the President of the United States. None of them. And so today, none of those patients have to regret that they agreed to meet with a man who was torturing children in Mississippi while trying to meet with them in their hospital rooms for a photo op. Immigration and Customs Enforcement arrested approximately 680 people working at their jobs at 7 food processing plants in Mississippi. None of the people who hired and employ those workers were arrested for the crime of employing those workers, because this is, of course, Republican law enforcement at work. This is Trump law enforcement at work. Arrest just the workers, not the employers. Local reporters in Mississippi did the work of covering the real news that Donald Trump created yesterday with those arrests. The Jackson Free Press in Mississippi said children finished their first day of school with no parents to go home to tonight. Babies and toddlers remained at daycare with no guardian to pick them up. A child vainly searched a workplace parking lot for missing parents. Alex Love of WJTV in Mississippi delivered the most important television reporting of the day yesterday in this country, far more important than anything television news was capable of capturing about the president's photo op visits to hospitals. Alex Love and his video crew found the victims of Donald Trump's torture yesterday in Forest, Mississippi.
These children, some who are just toddlers, were relying on neighbors and even strangers to pick them up outside their homes after school and drive them to a community fitness center where people tried to keep them calm, but many kids kept crying for mom and dad. Fighting back tears, 11-year-old Magdalena Gomez Gregorio expressed to us her devastation being alone without her dad.
Governments, please put your heart. Let my parents be free with everybody else, please. Don't leave the child with cryiness and everything.
This came after ICE agents raided several food plants across Mississippi, arresting 680 people believed to be in the country illegally. Those children left behind and families impacted by each raid stress their parents and friends are good people.
I need my dad for me. My dad didn't do nothing. He's not a criminal.
That is torture. Torture. Every parent knows what we're looking at when we see that girl shaking and unable to stop crying as she tells Donald Trump that her father is not a criminal. Every decent human being of any age, every child, everyone, any person, whether they have children or not, knows that that is torture. They know what we just saw. And that is a torture that will last throughout her childhood and the childhoods of the hundreds of children who Donald Trump tortured yesterday. Alex Love is reporting tonight that most of the parents arrested yesterday have been released and reunited with their children. Only most of them. But even those reunited children will never go to sleep again safe in the knowledge that their parents will be there when they wake up. The Trump torture technique did not end with the return of those parents to their children today. Federal law and the Army manual define torture this way. Torture is an act committed by a person under the color of law specifically intended to inflict severe physical or mental pain and suffering. And yesterday, while Donald Trump was flashing his empty, soulless, cosmetically enhanced smile in hospitals for a propaganda video, what he was really doing was exercising his physical control over people at their jobs in Mississippi and inflicting willfully severe mental pain and suffering on them as parents, and inflicting severe mental pain and suffering on their children. That is what the President of the United States was really doing yesterday, and what he will willfully do again. Torture. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.